Alright guys, listen up, it is story time, and yes, if you're wondering, this story is 100% true. Do not question it. I assure you that this all really happened. Alright, so a while ago, I used to have a restaurant, and this restaurant was actually really popular because I had this awesome chef right here. This guy name is Chef Database. Now, Chef Database is awesome because he can cook an egg in 5 seconds. That's actually the only thing my restaurant sold, eggs. Again, don't question this. Alright. So I had two employees, Chef Database, cooking eggs in 5 seconds, and I also hired a server. So she was responsible for taking orders from the customers. So we opened up our first day, and pretty much this is how it went. The server was ready to take orders, and this girl, first of all, why does this girl look so sad? I don't know. Maybe she, maybe her boyfriend broke up with her or something. I don't know. But anyway, she was like, I'll take one egg, please. And then my server was like, okay, hey, Chef DB, we need one egg. So he waits 5 seconds. One, two, three, four, five. And when it's done, the server brings the egg to the customer. Boom, you're good to go. So she got her egg, she's at the door. Next customer is this little boy. So this little boy's like, hey, I would take one of the eggs. And my server's like, you talk funny, whatever, dude. Alright, chef. Need one more egg. Alright, that'll be 5 seconds. One, two, three, four, five. Alright, you little turd, here is your egg. He's happy, whatever. See you later. So day two rolls around, and obviously my restaurant is getting pretty popular because who doesn't love delicious eggs? And I realize that I need to get these customers their orders faster. They're getting a little upset that their orders are taking too long, even though my eggs are delicious. So I'm like, what the heck am I supposed to do? And then my grandma's like, oh, Bucky, why don't you just hire some more servers? I'm like, Grandma, please, shut up. Listen, I sell eggs for a living. This is my restaurant. Do you think I'm rich? I can't afford more servers. So I need to find a better way or a faster way to get these customers their order. So I'm like, you know what? Where is the flaw in my business plan? Well, check it out. Whenever a customer places an order from the server, this server walks over, tells the chef, and he starts cooking the egg. Now, while he's cooking the egg, this server, like a lazy bum, is just sitting there doing nothing, filing her nails, checking her iPhone, whatever. Now, I come up with an idea that says, you know what? Why don't we manage it this way? Why doesn't the server take the orders, tell the chef to start cooking the egg, and then what she can do instead of standing around, she can take another order from, say, the boy. And then she can tell the chef to start cooking another egg, and boom, check it out. So again, my server has no point of standing here taking one order at a time and waiting 5 seconds to go back and take another order. Chef doesn't need her. So instead, what we start doing is that your order, okay, she placed her order. What about you, little boy? What's your order? Oh, an egg too? Obviously, because it's the only thing we sell. I guess she really doesn't need to be asking what they want to eat, but whatever. And she does the same thing for the priest. So she just took 3 orders, went back, back, back. Now the chef is cooking 3 eggs at a time, and instead of standing there waiting for one egg to be done at a time, she just tells the chef, "Hey, Chef Database, whenever those eggs are done, just let me know. Just give me a heads up, and I'll come back and get them." So one, two, three, four, five. Yo, server, all the eggs are done. Boom, there you go. So now instead of taking 15 seconds for 3 customers, she can take orders immediately, and the chef can cook all the eggs at once, and they each get their eggs in 5 seconds. What if I had 30 customers? Doesn't matter. They all get their eggs in 5 seconds instead of 150. Pretty cool. My server is staying busy the whole time. I don't spend extra money on extra servers, and it's a much more efficient way of doing things. Now, believe it or not, that story has absolutely nothing to do with Node.js or programming. Just thought it was a pretty cool story to tell, so thank you guys for watching. Actually, I'm kidding, of course. The reason that I told you guys that story is pretty much the reason that Node.js is becoming so popular. As you can see, whenever you're making some kind of web app that has to deal with A, real-time data in pretty much applications where speed is important, and B, applications like social networks where you have a lot of requests coming in at once, Node.js is incredibly fast and efficient. So instead of just talking about those eggs, let's go ahead and start learning how this is done in code. Now, of course, whenever we're making a website or a social network, we obviously aren't cooking eggs. That time-consuming operation, that 5 seconds it took for that chef to cook an egg, this would be something like querying a database. Now, querying a database and having the database calculate all its stuff, of course, takes some time. So if you had a bunch of people trying to connect to your website, and every single client had to wait for the other client before them to get done, obviously it would be a horrible experience. Your website would be really slow and people would never come back. So instead, if we set it up like Node.js, we'll be golden. Alright, so I'm going to have two functions in here. My first function is just going to be called place and order. So this we're just going to pass in an order number so we can keep track of everything. So this is pretty much going to resemble a user trying to connect to your website to, I don't know, like query a database, get some kind of data. They want to place an order, they want to get data from your website. So inside here, the first thing I'm just going to make is a little indicator so we can see in the log that this was actually called. So I'll put like customer order, and then we'll print out their order number. So again, we're going to be calling this function like, I don't know, it doesn't really matter. We'll say like 6 or 7 times. So every time we call it, it'll say customer. The heck? Do you hear that? There's like a random motorcycle driving out. Alright. So anyways, every time we call this, it's going to say customer order 1, customer order 2, customer order 3, so on and so forth. Simple enough. Now, after we print out the little indicator saying that this function was called, we need to call one more function, and this is going to resemble querying the database. In other words, the example we saw, we'll say cook and deliver food. Now this is going to take one parameter called a callback, and let me just say this. I'll be like simulate a 5 operation. Alright. So this function right here would resemble something like connecting to your database, some time-consuming operation. So inside here, I'm going to write one piece of code, and that is set timeout. And of course, it takes the callback and just have some time from like 1,000 to 10,000. If I put 5,000 in here, it just means 5 seconds. So what the heck is this? So again, obviously we don't really have a database to connect to, but what's going to happen is after 5 seconds, it's going to throw your callback. What the heck is a callback? You know, in our example, whenever we had the server, and she went and she gave the order to the chef, and instead of just standing there like a lazy bum like she was doing at first, she was just like, hey chef, call me back whenever the eggs are ready, and that way I can go do something else, something useful, something productive. So I'm going to give you my order, go do something else, just call me back whenever that's ready. Much more efficient, and that's what this callback is. It's a bit of code that's going to run whenever your 5 seconds is up, and you guys are going to see in like half a second what's going on. Alright, so obviously whenever a user places an order, we're just going to print something out, and then we're going to call cook and deliver food. So cook and deliver food. So the reason that I had to explain in the last tutorial that you can actually have functions and pass them in as parameters to other functions is this. This callback is essentially a bit of code that we want to run after 5 seconds. So we can actually put an anonymous function in here, function, and run some bit of code. So after the food is cooked and delivered, we're just going to say console dot log, and we'll just log out something like, I don't know, delivered food order, and then we will put the order number. So again, if you don't quite understand exactly what's going on, then give me 1 second and I promise you will by the end of this video. Alright, so now we have to do is just place a whole bunch of orders, and I'll just put like a simulate like users like web request. Alright, so place an order 1 and just copy this a bunch of times. We'll say like 5 or 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright. So again, this is just going to simulate 6 different users trying to place orders, trying to connect to your database or your website at a time. Now let's run this and see what happens. Alright, all of their orders are placed. They all want data. 5 seconds later, look at that. So check it out. Querying the database takes 5 seconds. Nothing we can do about that. It's just a database. It crunches numbers. Some things take time. However, we had a bunch of users trying to connect to our database, and instead of taking 5 seconds, waiting for the next one, 5 seconds, we could process all of their requests at the exact same time and then send back all of their data in 5 seconds. So every single user was getting the best possible experience. Now at first, you might look at this program and you start scratching your head because something doesn't look quite right. You see, we know that computer programs run top down. In other words, this line of code is going to complete, and then once it's done, it's going to run this line of code. Once that's done, it's going to run this, 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 and this. So how is it that when we run this program, essentially it looks like all of these are printing out like a millisecond after another? Because whenever a user places an order, here's what's happened. It prints out this, as we know, nothing new, and then it hops down and it pretty much starts requesting data from the database. Now this process takes 5 seconds. Alright, so if that's still going on and this line of code didn't get done yet, then why are we able to hop down to 2, then 3, then 4, then 5? Aren't we still waiting 5 seconds for the database to be dealt with? Well, that's what confuses a lot of people, and that's what I want to clear up. This line of code, set timeout, it's not saying wait 5 seconds, pause the program, stop the program for 5 seconds, and then once you're done, call back the callback method, which just says deliver food. What's happening in this set timeout method is this. What you're doing is you're scheduling this callback or this bit of code to run in 5 seconds. Now, just to make that schedule, it doesn't take 5 seconds, it's instant. So you're just saying, hey database, do your thing, do whatever you got to do, however long it takes. When you're done with that, call me back. In the meantime, I'm going to go on and continue with the rest of the program. So do your thing, I'm going to go on, handle some more users, and then when you're done, after 5 seconds or whatever long operation you take, just call back this function. So again, you're not getting this line of code or point in your program and pausing before going on to the rest of the program. You're setting a schedule. So again, I know it confuses a lot of people, but hopefully I was able to explain it. If you have any questions at all about anything, or if this seems kind of fuzzy right now, I am certain in the upcoming tutorials that you guys are going to catch on to this concept real quick. Also, if you have questions about anything specific, then you can just ask me on my forum. There are a lot of people there willing and able to help. And lastly, if you want any of this source code from this tutorial or any of my future tutorials, I'm going to be putting it on my GitHub for free. There you go. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.